Hi! Last week I made that video about my favorite book of the years. Well, now it is time for my least favorite book of the year. So once again I have almost all of the book here. There is just one book that I don't have because I got it at the library of my school, like of my high school, but I'm at college now, so I couldn't have the book in physical for the video, and obviously after reading it I didn't want to buy it because it's in this video like my least favorite book of the year. So we're gonna go from my favorite book of the one that I didn't like to the one that I really despised. So the fifth book and the first book that I want to talk to you about is Moon Palace by Oster. So it's a book that I had to read for school. So first thing that I don't like is when I have to read a book, because I don't like being forced to read a book. But yeah, the story actually isn't that bad. So it's the story of a guy who, honestly I don't even remember, but he wants to go on he wants to travel through America, and he's gonna meet some people which he's gonna have some times with and get close to, and there is a little stories in between, but honestly I can't explain the plot because it wasn't all that interesting, but you can enjoy it. It's not that bad of a book actually, but I had a few issues with it that made my read very uncomfortable for me. First thing, the chapters are way too long. I think the shortest chapter is like 27 pages and the longest one is almost 70 pages. And hear me out, I hate long chapters. Like 20 pages, like 10 to 20 pages is a great amount of page for a chapter, in my opinion. So like this one was way too long, and I'm the kind of person who cannot put down a book unless I finish reading the chapter that I am currently reading. So it was hard to finish that book, and yeah. Also there is a lot of problematic topics, like problematic stuff in this book. First, there is a lot of sexism. There is a lot, like when I say a lot, it is a lot of fat phobia, but I'm gonna come back to that later. There is also like sometimes the characters talk about some mental illnesses and they are very mean about it. Also racism. It's really not enjoyable. I get that this book was published a long time ago, but it wasn't that long either, so it still is problematic. Yeah, so like for the sexism, a really good example is that, okay, it's a bit of a spoiler, but I don't think you really care, and if you do care and want to read it, then I will put a time code for where this part of the spoiler stops. So at one point, the character, like the main character, who is a straight white male, is in a relationship with a woman. First of all, this woman is Asian. I don't remember which country exactly, but she's Asian, and there is a lot of racism going on with her. But at one point she gets pregnant, and she doesn't want to keep the baby, and the man, being a man, is like, no, I don't want you to kill this baby. If you kill him, you're killing a part of me with it. And she doesn't want to keep it. So he breaks up with her and is leaving her in a state where she needs support, because when you go through an abortion, I assume that mentally it is very hard to get over it. So he is leaving her at this moment of her life. Also, when he meets her, he only talks about her boobs. But yeah, so he's leaving her in that state, and then he's like, I don't want anything to do with you. You killed me with it anyway. And at one point, his life falls apart, and he's crawling back to her, calling her like, please forgive me, I love you, take me back. And she's like, you wish I have someone else. Bye. As she should, girl boss. And also, this is really my biggest issue with the books. Also, I didn't say it, but I rated it 3 stars. So the biggest, like the thing that I hate the most about this book is that there is a fat character, but this character arrived at chapter 6. Chapter 6, which is very, very, very long, as every other chapters. So the character arrived, and every single pages of the whole chapter, there is at some point some sentence that remind us that he's fat. And at one point I've had enough, so I decided to take a pencil and to put a little something every time, like every sentences where they mention his weight. So I did it with a random double pages, so I'm gonna read to you every sentence that mention that he's fat. Yes, because it's so fun, isn't it? He was not only the fattest professor anyone had ever seen. Everything about him was so far-flung and extravagant, so flagrantly outside the norm, that no one dared to judge him. The jovial eunuch who had eaten his way past desire. 2 young men in the prime of life, one fat and the other thin, walking through Lincoln Park in Chicago with my uncle one day and seeing a gigantic fat man eating a sandwich on the grass. This man reminded Victor of another fat man he had once seen. So like in 2 pages we have 6 mention that he's fat. And it's been going on like that for the whole chapter, and it's very, very annoying. I think it hurts a lot of people to read that book actually. So Moon Palace, at least I had an excellent grade at my exam on the book like last year. But it's the only positive thing that comes out of it. But apart from that, it wasn't very, very good. So Moon Palace. So in the 4th place, it's actually the book that I don't have with me right now. So that book is P.s I Love You, and I don't remember the author, but I'm gonna write it on the screen because I will look it up after. So P.s I Love You, what is it about? It is about a girl, I think her name is Holly. Basic name for a basic book. Anyway, so her name is probably Holly. I'm not gonna say it in case I'm wrong, but yeah. So that girl had a husband, and they were together since like so many years, like I think around 15 years, and they were married for a long time too. And then one day he is diagnosed with cancer. I mean an untreatable illness that is gonna make him die. So yeah, so he dies from the beginning, like he's dead. And she is absolutely destroyed by his death, which is very understandable. And I took that book at the library because I thought it was gonna be a great sad book and story about overcoming loss and stuff like that. And so the husband knew that he was dying. I think his name was Gary, because I have an inside joke. I had an inside joke with a friend because that person is not my friend anymore, but anyway. So, Gary, yeah. So the husband knew he was dying, and he made a little things for his wife when he will be passed, because he knows her, and he knows that she won't go on with her life, and she will just let herself die too. So he made that for her, and it is very sweet. Actually, it's the best thing of the book. is that for every month of the year, for 1 year after his death, she will have to open one envelope with little instruction on things she has to do during the month, and at the end of every letter he wrote P.s I Love You. So like it is very sweet. So throughout the book she goes every month, she opened one letter from him, and during the month she does what he taught her to. Like one time he's like, oh, go sing to a karaoke because you never had the courage to do so. One time it's like, go on a little vacation, and etc, etc. So I thought it was a very good idea, and it could have been very cool. However, the characters are unlovable, super annoying. A lot of things does not make sense. Like, she does things that doesn't make sense. She's annoying to everyone. Like, she only thinks about herself. Like, I get it, you lost your husband, it's hard for you, I get it, but like, she's acting like she's the only one who is suffering from his death, when there is his best friend who knew him even before her, and she's like, I hurt more. So that is very, very annoying. She always thinks she's the center of attention. When someone has something good that happened to them, like one of her friends gets pregnant, one gets married, and she's like, you don't deserve it, I should be happy instead of you. And I'm like, girl, that is very toxic, you're not a good friend. And even with her family, every character, like they don't have personalities, they only have like one personality trait, and it is very annoying. How do you get attached to them? And the thing that made me know that they weren't good characters is when, at the beginning of the book, the character that I hated the most because he was annoying was the one that I ended up liking the most. So I think it says everything that there is to say. So I rated that book 2.5 stars. Okay, next book. It is a book that is popular on Book Talk, so maybe I'm gonna have some enemies, but trust me, I will have greater enemies later during the video. So, We Were Liars. We Were Liars. I was very excited about it because I've seen it everywhere ever since I joined Book Talk and Bookstagram, so I was pretty excited to read it. The story is about a girl who had a terrible accident and she lost some of her memories, and there is this place that she goes to every year during the holiday with her family and some of her friends, and like they see each other only at that time of the year, and she's gonna go there after 2 years of not going because of her accident and health issues, and so like she's gonna go there, and people act weird with her, and it is very strange. Like, she doesn't remember anything, so we, the reader, don't know anything either. So there is this little mystery going on, and so at the end there is a plot twist, but I didn't get into the story. I honestly wasn't interested, I just wanted to finish the book so that it will be over. The characters are not lovable either. The main character, she is just like the main character of the book before. She only thinks of herself, she's self-centered, she's annoying, she wants everything, she wants to be happier than others, and it's very annoying. The characters have also only one personality trait, and the writing style feels very fanfiction to me. So I read it in French. Keep in mind that I didn't read it in English. I read it in French, and I don't know if it is just the writing style of the translator, of if the writing style in English is the same, but in French it feels very fanfiction niche, so I didn't enjoy that at all. The best thing is that the chapter is very short. Like one chapter is like a few pages, so that was great. When I've had enough I could stop it because it was very short, unlike Moon Palace where I have to read a lot to put the book down. But this one was at least a fast read. Like, it is very fast to read. It doesn't have a lot of pages, so that's great. I rated it 2.5 stars, just like the book before, and it is because of the plot twist. Without the plot twist, it would only been a 2 stars, but 2.5. So the plot twist is great, but it's not enough to save the whole book. Honestly, I had to reread the last pages because I was like, what the hell is happening? I couldn't understand a lot, but I had to reread it. But it was annoying to read actually for me, and I will never read it again, but if you want to, go on, read it. Okay, so next book, it's not the book that I hated the most in the year, but it's the book that disappointed me the most in the whole year. So that book, it is Blood and Honey by Shelby Merhurin. I don't know how to pronounce the name, but Blood and Honey, and I had a lot of expectations because it is the second book of the Serpent and Dove trilogy, and I loved Serpent and Dove, so I wanted to read this one and I was excited to read it, but sadly it was bad. So I was very disappointed in the book because I really wanted to read it, and it's like 530 pages. I've had enough. I loved the characters. They were all my babies, and in the second book they all became annoying. Even the main character, she was that girl. She was a girl boss, and then what happened? And also, I'm not gonna talk about what happened in the book because that would be spoiling Serpent and Dove, but the book doesn't, like, nothing happens. It is 500 pages of nothing but waiting. They're just traveling, walking, moving, and nothing happens. Like, something happened at the end, but I wasn't happy. When I was coming near the end, I was happy because I was like, I'm finally gonna be done. But then, my favorite character died. I finished it. I thought I would be happy to finish it because that would mean that I was done with it. But the love of my life died. So this is a big disappointment. I still have the third book of the trilogy that I'm gonna read in 2023, and I will do it. I will read it because I have faith that it's gonna be better. But this one, big disappointment. So yeah, Blood and Honey, not my least favorite book of the year, but the biggest disappointment, and I'm sad. 2 stars. Alright, we are finally with the last book, and a lot of people are gonna hate me, so it ends with us. Colleen Hoover. Colleen Hoover is everywhere. She sold more books than the Bible during 2022. I had some expectation, but at the same time, none, because it's a book talk book. You know what? This book is the book that I hated the most in my entire life. I rated that book 1 single star. I never gave a book 1 star before this book. This book is about Lily Blossom Bloom the florist. At the beginning of the book, she's like 21 and her father died, and she's not sad because she hated him, Rightfully so, because he was abusive toward her mother, so not a great man. So she hated him all her life because she lived with him and he was abusive toward her mom, and she was like, why isn't she leaving him? She always was like, why the fuck is she doing? Leave him. And she didn't understood why her mother wouldn't leave him and all that thing. And the book also has some flashback that we see through her old notebook that she wrote. And those letters that she wrote, like in the past, that she's reading it now, is letters that she wrote to none other than Ellen DeGeneres. I was like, girl, you're not doing that. And she was doing that. This is very, very embarrassing. Imagine writing letters to Ellen DeGeneres. So she's writing letters that she wrote when she was 16? 15, 16. I don't remember. I think she was 15 and almost 16, but it doesn't matter. And she's talking about that guy that she knew at last, the homeless boy that she fell in love with and had sex with. And I think, if I remember correctly, that he was like 18 or 19 when they had sex. And she was like 15 or 16. She's writing letters, and then, now an adult, she moved to, I don't remember which city and I don't care honestly, and she opened her flower shop and she met a guy that she fell in love with. The first time she ever sees him is when she's on the rooftop thinking about her life, and Ryle comes on the rooftop and he doesn't notice it's her. So he thinks he's alone and he starts kicking chairs, throwing it out of anger. This is a red flag. And after that, he asks her to hook up with him. She says no. He asks her again. She says no. Then he asks again. And he keeps on asking her to hook up with him. He's like, at one point, he's begging on his knee. He went to her apartment building. He knocked on every door. He found her and he went on his knees like, please, please hook up with me. This is rape, honey. Consent, where are you? I don't know, but not here. I hated him from the very beginning, and some people were like, oh my god, what a plot twist when he starts abusing her. When he was a red flag all along. At one point he starts beating her just like her father did to her mother, and she's like, he's not my father, it was an accident. The accident is pushing you down the fucking stairs? I don't think so. And he's like, now you fell. So like, beating, toxic, jealousy, possessivity, gaslight, not girl boss. I heard that Colleen Hoover wrote that about her own experience, and people are like, so it makes the book not that bad because it's about how she sees things and stuff. Get therapy instead of doing that. And the thing that I hate the most about it is that it's always in the romance section and everyone is like, this is a romance book. No, it's not. This is a book about an abusive relationship that is romanticized. It's not romance. And I really think of like all those young girls who see the book on social medias, who are like 13, 14, very young, and who see the book and people saying like, it's a romance book, it's sad, fairy book, read it, and they're gonna buy it and read that and either be traumatized or they will think that this is normal because it is a romance book, so it's normal. It is not. And so they're gonna grow up and maybe be in this kind of relationship and they're gonna think it's normal. It's not. And I don't want that to happen to some girls that are young and that might find this and think that, yeah, this is romance, along with her other books, because I watched a lot of videos of people talking about it. I spoke with a lot of people who read her books, and it's almost the same with every book. There is an abusive relationship that is romanticized in the romance section with no trigger warnings. And this is not normal. It's not normal to keep doing that. And Colleen Hoover is writing all those books with the same plot, the same kind of stuff, toxic stuff. And she knows that her audience is very young girls. She knows it, and she just keeps going because I think that she thinks that it's okay. But I think that she just needs therapy. Just like every people who see themselves in this book, some people are enjoying it a lot, not seeing the issue with it. And I'm not saying that to be mean, but if you don't see the issue with this book, you probably have some issues that you need to work on because it's not healthy, it's not great. And honestly, if the book had trigger warnings, if it wasn't in the romance section, if people knew what they were getting themselves into, then I wouldn't have that big of a problem with it. But I do because it is toxic. It's annoying that people keep recommending Colleen Hoover and praising her because she's like the best writer in the romance genre. But no, think twice before reading this book or other Colleen Hoover book. Also she is quite problematic. Like, she paid money to cover up her son who is a sexual assaulter. It's problematic, it's toxic, and it needs to stop because I don't want people to think that these relationships are normal. There is one book with incest that is romanticized. What is going on? I don't even have anything else to say about the book. I could go on and on and on and on. But honestly, right now I don't want to talk about it anymore. It ends with us 1 star, worst read of the year. So we're done for this video. It was a lot and I'm tired now because I hated this book so much. I'm gonna go rest and I will see you next week with the very first video of the year 2023. So in order to wait until next week, you can go watch my other video, especially the one that I posted last week. If you haven't watched it yet, it is about my favorite book of the year, and I'm way happier in that video than in this one because I'm talking about a book that I loved and my favorite book of the whole year, and I kind of lost my mind at the end of the video because I love the book so much. But yeah, so anyway, I hope you had great holidays with your family or people you like, and if you don't celebrate Christmas, then I hope you're having a good end of the year. I also hope that everyone get to finish their reading goal for 2022, and if you didn't, it's okay. It's not a competition, reading is a hobby. So I will see you next year, and yeah, bye!